Welcome back. FBI background checks for firearm purchases hit a record high in September. This as Senate Democrats push for stronger background check laws today. But data from both the CDC and the FBI show that firearm homicides in the United States have been on the decline. Joining me now, Jan Morgan, Second Amendment expert and owner of the Gun Cave shooting range. Jan, you and I talked before about the idea that this is perhaps the last stand, if you will, for President Obama and his allies in Capitol Hill to either sharply reduce the impact of the Second Amendment or even get rid of it. But and obviously the mainstream is listening because we see people rushing to go out and buy firearms. Do you think it is gaining some traction after the latest tragedy?
You know, actually, I think the latest tragedy contributed somewhat, but already, just the month of September, Charles, we're looking at, according to the FBI stats, 1,795,102 applications for firearms during that month. And that doesn't even take into consideration the number of guns purchased in between private citizens, which is not recorded, or the number of when a person purchases multiple firearms and there's only one background check. So I would be willing to bet that there's a lot more behind that number than what we're seeing. But here's the really interesting part that I'm excited about. While we're seeing this huge increase in gun sales in the month of September, at the same time, the FBI and CDC is reporting that firearms-related homicides have declined by 49%. So that pretty much puts a lid on our argument. More guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens makes it a safer place for Americans to live. You know,
it's amazing that you say that, because if anyone takes the time and looks this up, you'll see the trajectory of gun ownership going up has coincided with the precipitous free fall in homicides and other acts of violence with guns in this country. Nevertheless, that's not the narrative that the media puts forth. Tomorrow, the president will be meeting with victims of that tragic shooting. He's already said he's going to politicize this. Now, his new target, he's actually trying to turn the table somewhat. He keeps talking about gun owners themselves, and polls that have been taken among gun owners, even those registered with the NRA, that say, yeah, they're open to so-called common sense rules. Maybe that will gain traction. Maybe that means success. But what would that mean? Or what do you think he's trying to do here?
Okay, that's the difference between someone who says they support the Second Amendment and someone who is truly a no-compromise Second Amendment advocate like myself. No, we've already got over 20,000 gun control laws on the books in this country, Charles. We don't need more laws. We need better enforcement of the laws that are on the books, and we need to get to the root of the problem, which is not the gun. It is a moral deterioration of our society, and until we acknowledge that and start dealing with that aspect of it, we're not going to see any differences. Gun control laws do not affect bad guys. They don't stop bad guys with guns. They only affect law-abiding citizens.
Before I let you go, where do you come down on the issue of mental health screening and things like that? I think we've let down the mental health issue beyond the gun aspect of it in this country dramatically anyway.
You know, Charles, that's a really touchy subject, because I know for a fact that too many veterans in this country are being turned away who've gone to the VA for treatment. Right. And and I hate to see that. But also, I don't want the government determining who's mentally fit and who isn't. Do you?
No, but people should know,
and
too.
Suddenly your medical records are going to become public.
More people are dying from guns and suicide than homicide by a large margin these days. Jan, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
You bet.